Cartoons have managed to become a big part of our lives, and a big part of that is the main characters in the cartoons. The main character can be what keeps us coming back to the show. Some shows go with a more blank slate sort of character to let you imagine that you are that character without giving you too much to negate that. But some other shows like to give us main characters with enough to enjoy on their own. So, welcome to my first top 10 list, the top 10 main characters in cartoons. Now first, a few disclaimers. I will not be counting cartoon versions of superheroes for one. I also won't be counting movie characters. I will be counting main character duos. I won't be talking about any adult cartoons or web cartoons. And maybe the biggest one of all, there are some very popular shows that I just never got into. So if I missed characters from those shows, yeah. This list and all that come after it will be super subjective. Disagree with my picks all you want. So let's get into it with number 10. Johnny Bravo, main character of Johnny Bravo. Johnny is narcissistic, self-centered, and a third word that means the exact same thing, and it is hilarious. He tries so hard to be cool and to impress women, and it gets him absolutely nowhere. He's completely oblivious to the fact that most people he comes across aren't quite as impressed with him as he is. You'd think he might come off as insufferable, but the world around him always keeps him in check. I might enjoy him a lot, but Johnny Bravo's biggest fan might always be Johnny Bravo. Number 9. Tommy Pickles, with his crooked feet. Main character on the Rugrats. Tommy is the quintessential leader. At any age, if you're struggling with something that you have to do, you can just tell yourself, a baby's gotta do what a baby's gotta do. Tommy will get you hyped up to do whatever. He's a master of speeches, and technically he can't even speak yet. He's the kind of leader that football teams want their quarterbacks to be. He is the Rugrats point guard. He's whatever the leader of a soccer team is. Tommy is that dude, yet he's still a gullible baby who just wants cookies. And so do I right now, actually. And number 8. Arnold from Hey Arnold. His last name is Shortman, by the way. But anyway, Arnold might be the closest thing to an audience stand-in character on the list. He's a pretty normal kid reacting to a pretty strange yet realistic world around him. He's the one to always look on the bright side of things. He keeps his friends and the show centered when things get too crazy. And since the world around him is so realistic by cartoon standards, Arnold tends to resonate with the audience too. He's not much of a troublemaker or anything, but he does have his flaws and his trials and tribulations that he goes through that keeps him interesting. I mean, he has a pet pig, that's awesome. Arnold is level-headed, but he can go crazy at times, and as we all know, he's a bold kid. Number 7? Number 7. Dexter from Dexter's Lab, or Laboratory. My only regret from taking 3 years of French in high school is learning that omelette du fromage is incorrect. It's omelette au fromage. And I'm still sad about it. But with that said, it was always a joy to watch our favorite eccentric little tiny scientist getting himself in and out of situations and conundrums, trying to avoid his annoying little sister Dee Dee. And, by the way, that really annoyed me back when I was little. No, I'm an only child, and I always wanted some siblings, you know? I would offer to buy my friends' siblings off of them. So I never really understood the concept of an annoying sibling. I was like, at least you have one, man. But it's cool, I have a dog now. A dog whose fur is the same color as Dexter's hair. So I always loved Dexter, and I still don't know what accent he has, where it came from. But it just made him seem so smart, right? He made me feel so intellectually inferior for saying laboratory instead of laboratory. And I loved that for some reason. Is that weird? Tell me if that's weird. Number 6. Kim Possible, main character on Kim Possible. These titles are very straightforward. Well, I don't think I've heard anybody say that they don't like this show. And in a show with so many characters and so many plots and things to latch onto, Kim was still awesome. I feel like there's the idea out there that Kim's character was more popular with girls, and maybe that's true, but I can't think of any guy I know who didn't think Kim Possible was awesome. and I mean the character, not just the show. Anything might be possible for Possible, but that doesn't mean it was easy for her. She had plenty of challenges, and part of the fun of the show was watching her get through them. Now, I can see some people disagreeing here, but in a show full of interesting characters, I always saw her as being one of them. You can call her, beep her if you want to reach her. If you want to page her, she's number 6. Hickabicaboo? The correct answer is Husha. Husha. Okay, number 5. Yakko Warner, main character on the Animaniacs. You could arguably, wow, that's not a word. You could easily argue that You could easily argue that all 3 Warner siblings should be here, but Yakko was the clear leader of the group. And in a show with many other skits and mini shows, I guess, Yakko is the clear lead dog. What are they? Whatever they are, he's the main one. He's the main character. What are they? Okay. Yakko is the ringleader of the hilarious chaos that makes up the show. He might have the quickest wit on the show, and that is saying a lot on this show. The jokes come flying. They'll go right past you. They'll go right over your head, and you'll catch them 15 years later, laying in bed or taking a shower, or looking in the fridge, and you just think, "Wow, I just got that joke. That was funny, man." And then you just start laughing into your cheese, and people look at you like you're crazy, and that's life. Yakko tells jokes that it might take you a decade to catch, and that's what makes him so great. Or maybe you just need to sleep on it. Good night, everybody. Wait, no, not good night. That was number 5. Okay, number 6. No, 4. Number 4. This is my first list. I'm sorry. I forgot how to count. It's been a while. Tom and Jerry, main characters on Tom and Jerry. This is possibly the most iconic cartoon duo in history. It's hard to think of much to even say about them, really. At this point, Tom and Jerry is self-explanatory. It's classic cat and mouse. It's the definition of slapstick. They have to get so creative in their eternal chase, or work together sometimes for the greater good. And they do it all without saying a word. We don't talk about the ones where they speak. They don't exist. Anyway, we're moving on to number 3. Mickey Mouse. Main character of Disney, pretty much. So, pretty much your entire existence. Main character of your dreams and nightmares. He is Mickey. He's about as iconic as it gets. He's Mickey Mouse. He's Mickey Mouse. He's Mickey Mouse. I have to put him high on this list, or Disney will put me high on their list. And I don't want to be high on their list. Those ears hear everything. He's a good character. He's Mickey Mouse. There's nothing else to say. He's Mickey Mouse. Okay, well. Number 2. Bugs Bunny. Main character of Looney Tunes and rapper on Buggin', written by Jay-Z on the Space Jam soundtrack. It is incredible. I love it. I would be an entirely different person without the Space Jam soundtrack. And Space Jam in general. It is the greatest movie ever made. Argue with your cat. Or your duck. Or your Elmer Fudd. Bugs Bunny is every bit as iconic as Mickey Mouse, down to the second if you're judging by Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He's similar to Mickey in the sense that he's recognizable around the world, and he's essentially the face of a company. But he has so much more personality. He gets by with creativity and quick wit, never flinching in the face of an obstacle, and it is just fascinating watching him work. Plus, he got to play basketball with Michael Jordan, and that will always get you points in my book. Shout out to Steve Kerr. So that takes us to our honorable mentions. There's no sort of animation kind of thing that I made for this part, so just enjoy my background until I say a name. It won't be long. Okay, the first one. Pinky and the Brain. The main characters of Pinky and the Brain. Also, Pinky and the Brain and Elmira, I guess. And I guess of their sketches on Animaniacs, where the show came from. Yeah, they could have easily made this list, but I guess I'll have to try tomorrow to try to take over the world. And my list. Zim from Invader Zim. Okay, so apparently a lot of people didn't watch this show when it was on, but watched it later when it got more popular. I watched it when it was on, and I really haven't seen much of it since then. I loved it then, but it's just been too long since I've watched it to put him on the list right now. Fred Flintstone, main character of the Flintstones. I love the Flintstones and Fred Flintstone, but he just didn't make it this time. I say that like there's gonna be another time, I don't know. But he's a pretty standard Honeymooners-esque character by design anyway, and that's a little boring, I guess. I still like him though. Winnie the Pooh, main character of Winnie the Pooh stuff. And I like him, but he's probably the least interesting character on any of the Winnie the Pooh things to me. Gumball, main character of The Amazing World of Gumball. I'm honestly still relatively new to the show. I mean, I'd seen it before, but I just started regularly watching it pretty recently. So maybe he would have made this list if I've been watching longer, but I don't know. I do like Gumball a lot though. Still want to give him a shout out. KO, main character of OK KO, Let's Be Heroes. The show's just still too new for me to put it on here right now, but I really like the show so far. And I really like KO. He's sort of hilarious to me. I hope the show lasts a while. And why do I sound like sinuses right now? Jeez. And lastly, this is entirely a personal pick for me, but Little Bear, main character of Little Bear. I loved Little Bear when I was a kid. Like, I used to expect it to be on at all times, so my parents started recording it for me so it could be on at all times. I pretty much had Little Bear on demand when I was 2. It was great. And the Little Bear, he just felt like me. He looked like me. And his parents looked like my parents, which is weird because we're not bears, as I'm sure you figured out by now. But I just love this show. I watched it just a few weeks ago, and I still loved it. It's a great show, and Little Bear is little me. But SB, huh? That takes us to number 1, SBSP. SpongeBob SquarePants. Main character on SpongeBob SquarePants. Look, I was born in 94. The show premiered in 1999. I've watched this thing since the very first episode. And since then, he's taken over the world. He might rival Mickey Mouse. Please don't tell Disney I said that. SpongeBob is the bright spot in our day and our lives and Nickelodeon's lineup because he's yellow. And he's just so cheerful. At the end of the day, SpongeBob is what I think of when someone says cartoon character. And personally, I'm really glad that the episodes seem to be getting better again, because I really don't want this show to end anytime soon, even if it is 18th now. But for 18 years, SpongeBob has been my favorite cartoon character. So that's my list. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want. If you don't, that's cool. Also, I forgot to say in the disclaimer that I wasn't counting any anime in the list, but I mean, it's over now. Also, I'll probably tag every character on the list in the tags, so you could probably have just looked at that to see the list, but, you know, whatever. They probably won't be in order, you know? Yeah. Okay, bye. Hoosha.